So, hello and welcome back to the Past Turn podcast. Myself, Aaron Francis, I'm no longer mysterious man, Tom Durrant.
Hello again.
We aim to bring you all the latest Magic Gathering height spoilers discussions on our very own and sometimes foolish opinions. Today's a bit of a strange episode because we're just going to be going off on wild tangents and just explaining and just delving into the world of chaotic magic and chaos theme. And this is something we love, isn't it?
And I know what the listeners are thinking. But how is that different from any other episode? Well, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So, so chaos magic. So I've got a couple of different articles up here which you can go and have a look at. So if you just type in chaos, EDH Wiki or MTG Wiki, it'll give you loads of different sort of terms as to what chaos is. But a chaos deck archetype is somewhat unique to the multiplayer games of Magic, and these decks are built with the goal to not necessarily win as quickly as possible, but to create as confusing or complex of a board state as possible. So this archetype may be used by the pilot specifically to disrupt powerful opponents by adding elements of chance and unpredictability to the game, which their own deck is better able to navigate, or may simply seek to create unexpected and unique board states that rarely exist in other games of Magic. And Chaos cards are most commonly found in the color red, which is one of our favorites, isn't it?
Go red.
So yeah, I mean, there's we speak about the sort of attitudes and perception of chaos first, because I mean, what are your sort of thoughts on chaos and how people perceive it to sort of alter the game?
I personally love it, and for me, it's sort of the backbone of Magic is the randomness. Like you don't know what's in your library. Like you know what's in your library, you don't know what's coming up on top, sort of thing. That I feel is like the backbone of Magic, and you don't know what's in your opponent's hand. And I know that's similar with a lot of games. Most games have some sort of element of that to them, sort of the unknown. But that's what I feel is the best part about Magic.
That's why you like dislike tutors and stuff, isn't it? Because you like the sort of unpredictability and the sort of random nature of the game, as you said there.
Yeah. And I understand, like, you build things into it to make it to run more smoothly. That's why you have card draw. That's why you have ramp to smooth out your sort of mana and stuff. But yeah, I do like chaos as like a full-on strategy. In all its
strategy.
Ways, really. Strategy in the loosest term possible, I suppose. But yeah, and like you said, I'd say there's two different types of chaos. Like I said, the first one is that what you're trying to achieve is disrupt your opponents through chaos. They have a game plan they're trying to execute, and you just make it as hard as possible for them to actually do it, and you just keep rolling on with some sort of chaos-themed joy. Or I'd say the other way is to use sort of chaotic effects to gain a powerful advantage.
They're just, I mean, the aspect of chaos really in Magic is just warping certain game rules, or just having stuff interact when stuff comes in, or just literally just if someone wants to play a spell, they have to resolve some other effect before it even resolves, and it just throws a spanner in the works to all of those people's strategies that just want to spin their wheels. They can't do that anymore because there's always a spanner thrown into the cog, sort of thing. And there's an interesting sort of statement on this EDH wiki page about attitudes and perception. So though multiplayer games of Commander will often place an emphasis on resonant, mutually enjoyable games instead of prioritizing victory, Chaos decks can be controversial in EDH and can even be seen as a violation of Commander's social contract. So what do you reckon about that statement? Do you reckon it could violate Commander's social contract?
Definitely. I must say, I do love playing Chaos, and I think I probably would happily play Chaos all day, most days. But I don't understand, like, some opponents, you eventually just want to have your game plan. Obviously, if you're playing a Chaos deck, your game plan is disruption and wild things. But obviously, if you're just sat down and you just want to play your Goblin token deck, it's very annoying when you actually just can't get to play it. And it's, like, sometimes in a way, Chaos decks almost feel like all of your spells are being countered because they're doing something slightly different.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Every spell that is being played is getting interacted with, isn't it, in some shape or form with Chaos deck out. And Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because if someone I think you have to really say to the pod that you're in, right, I'm going to play a chaos deck. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Before you sit down, you have to make people aware, because if you just roll the chaos deck, people can just you have to sort of announce that you're going to play with it just to make sure people are aware, sort of thing, don't you? Really?
I would say that the best games I've ever had is when you leave surprise chaos.
Oh yeah,
So you
yeah.
don't tell them, you say, oh, well, here's my blah 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 deck. Yeah, it's good. And they're like, okay, and you just, it's like a decent power level, and they start throwing stuff, and you're like, oh, it's actually just chaos.
Yeah, I mean, we've had there's a few chaos cards in one of our favorite decks, the Atali deck. You know, there's a couple of chaotic cards in there, and Atali himself is quite chaotic in what they do when they attack. So it's yeah. I mean, what's the one called? Was it Atali? I think it might be on the list. To be fair, we'll leave it to the list. See if it comes up then.
I don't really have a functionable list for the listeners. I'll just let you know that Aaron has told me to make a list, and in true chaotic form, I have just written down some words.
A random pile of cards. Yeah, exactly. That's a clickbait. It's like top 10 cards, but there's actually 17 cards in here with no actual order.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe them before.
You wouldn't believe them before. Brilliant. So going back to social contracts, so these chaotic cards, they force chance and randomness into the game. That obviously it may be at odds with the ways many players wish to experience games of Magic, especially if those players wish to showcase a unique aspect of their deck strategy that chaos cards render inaccessible. or if they wish for the game to be won on merits of skill rather than chance. Importantly, chaos cards frequently remove a player's control over their own gameplay actions, which is often not seen as a mutually enjoyable play experience. So that's the statement that's made on the EDH wiki for chaos decks, which is fair enough.
Yeah, it is definitely. And yeah, it's no different than if someone sat down at every game and just wanted to play a mono blue counter deck. You think, come on, let us just do something else for a change. Let's not constantly have to sort of play around your weird control deck.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I've always thought about building a mono blue Talrand deck with just counters, but I know I wouldn't enjoy playing against it, which is why I don't do it. But yeah, I mean, there's another statement here. It is strongly encouraged that players using chaos decks provide the information to their opponents as part of a pre-game discussion, so that those opponents may prepare or determine their comfort level with this style of play.
Yeah.
So going back to what we said earlier with regards to just making people aware that I'm playing with a chaos deck, is that okay? And then, yeah, you can just go back to your normal spinning wheels of your own decks afterwards, sort of thing. It's more of a palate cleanser, I feel. Just playing a bit of chaos, I'd say sort of chilling out. But again, the rules can get so complex in a chaos game that it is a bit of a brain burner sometimes.
And that's one thing I do quite like about chaos, is that sometimes it makes weird interactions that you'd never think of.
Yeah.
So it makes you really sort of dig into your sort of rules knowledge, ring all your judge friends, and just see if anyone can sort of fathom what should have happened.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if this is on your list for earlier, but I played against Tom from Tabletop Republic's Chaos deck the other day, and one card that was in there, which was just absolutely horrendous to play against, was a card called Time Sifter from Mirrodin. So Time Sifter, if you can potentially get this up. Oh, you've got it there in front of you, yeah.
Too small.
I'll read it out anyway for all the listeners. So this is a 5-drop artifact from Mirrodin, so 2007, 2006, very good set. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, each player removes the top card of his or her library from the game. The player who removes the card of the highest CMC, or in this case mana value, takes an extra turn after this one. If 2 or more players' cards are tied for the higher cost, the tied players repeat this process until the tie is broken.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, you could just be sat out of the game for ages while other people are taking extra turns.
Yeah.
So that was not a fun experience. It's interesting to see for the first time, but again, if you're just being sat out because of the mana value of your card off the top of your deck is not cohering to the rest of the table, or you're just sheer dumb luck is not allowing you to take a turn, is pretty horrendous.
Yeah. And really bullies an aggro deck. If all of your cards are really low to the ground and you're just trying to just jam as much as quick as possible, okay, yeah, you're now doing literally nothing the rest of the game, unless your opponents hit land.
Yeah, so it was a terrifying card to play against, and I was just like, I can't do anything. I haven't taken a turn, and even if I was just scrying two because I wasn't actually playing. I was just like, can I do anything against this? No, I can't. So I just bowed out at that time. But it's fun to see for the first time. But whether I'd play against it again happily is a sort of different story. I mean, it's not really a chaos card. Well, it is, but it's just
It's
it's
not
not very
our
interactive.
style of chaos.
No, no.
Um,
I mean, yeah, it's just it can make people just sit out the game for ages. Whereas typical chaos cards, which I'm sure we'll get to in a bit, will allow people to still play, but it just has random effects. So yeah. So I just thought that was worth include. That wasn't on your list per
no,
se, was it?
no, not sort of a direct one that I was going to shout out, but it's in
Nice.
0% of decks on EDH Rec. So clearly, most people agree with you, Aaron. Most
Yeah.
people see that it's not fun to play against. And also,
And
I
Tom still
guess
included it.
exactly, yeah. In
Yeah.
759 decks, they are all Tom's iterations of his current deck.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see it in that one-off game. So let's go into sort of strengths and weaknesses of these sort of decks now. So a couple of strengths as to Chaos decks. So Chaos decks have extremely high variance and create fairly unique experiences from game to game. This can be ideal for players who do not enjoy decks with homogenous or too consistent strategies, which I agree with.
Yeah, that sort of covers what we said earlier.
Yeah. So it just varies up the game style and just, puts a sort of a gate against those players that do want to try and do the same thing every time. They can't do that. They have to try and find a different way, which is nice. Again, similar to that, Chaos decks can significantly disrupt the plans of their opposition because Chaos cards may cause spells not to resolve, may switch control of cards in play, or may produce unpredictable consequences from even small actions. Chaos cards may level the playing field and reduce an opponent's ability to take meaningful or game-ending actions. Yeah, so that's so again that just plays on the interactability of every single card, then can just change the outcome of the entire game. So that's a cool little statement. And finally, another strength of Chaos decks. Chaos deck can be built with chance in mind, making them better prepared to handle unpredictable board states and allowing the pilot to break the parity of random effects to produce an advantage over their opponents. So there is an example here, but I'm not going to read it out because you're probably not going to be able to follow along. So yeah, it's just they're sort of equipped to deal with any situation because of the fact of their variability of cards, which I think is quite good.
Yeah, it can mean your opponents just can't. Like I say, it is the sort of point above is that they can't get a foothold in. Like if they want to try and stop your chaos, it's quite tricky for them.
Yeah.
Rob's just chimed in. He loves a bit of chaos.
There he is. Loves a bit of chaos. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Let's go into the weaknesses of chaos decks. Though some chaos decks may seem to gain advantage over their opponents by being more prepared for random game elements, it's almost impossible for any player to wholly manipulate those random chaotic elements. Chaos games can easily slip out of the control of any player and create game states where no player is able to take meaningful action. Some chaos cards may even change the manner in which the players take turns, such as the card Time Sifter, which may cause some players unable to take their turns, any turns at all, and not be able to participate in the game properly, which is exactly what happened the other day.
Yeah, and it's this is why you don't want to be playing chaos every single match.
No, exactly. I'll just go round off the weaknesses here. So because Chaos cards disrupt players' ability to take meaningful game actions and naturally advance their own strategy, this can prevent any player from actually ending the game. Games with Chaos cards can therefore take significantly longer amount of time than any other archetypes, which can cause players to become frustrated by the play experience rather than enjoying it.
I must say, even sometimes when I am the Chaos player, I feel that. Sometimes okay, we're just going in circles, no one can do anything. Mm-hmm. And you're just a bit like, I don't really know what we do to sort of move forward here.
Yeah. And Rob's made a good point there.
Yeah, he said it's definitely fun once in a blue moon. Playing it regularly gets miserable very quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think if you just play it sort of regularly yourself, it just loses that little spark. It's because I think the big draw of it is you're turning the rules of Magic on its head. But if you do that every single game, it's almost then a novelty to just play normal Magic.
Yeah.
So then you're like, it's like simply just playing like this sort of like really solitaire, repetitive decks, like in standard, like the cycling deck in standard at the moment. Like I think it's fun to do every now and then, but I find if I've just smashed a load of games on that, I'm like, this is just boring now because there's no interaction. There's there's nothing really going on. It just feels mindless, and you're just, I don't know, it just loses its fun. But then every now and then you bring it out and you think, that was fun.
Yeah.
You can't stop cycling. It can't be counted.
No, it just spins its own wheels and just continues and continues and continues and continues, isn't it? And there's no interaction there. Whereas Chaos is exactly the opposite. There's loads of interaction, but it doesn't actually sort of progress the game in any way, which is obviously inherent to this weakness. And finally, the last bullet point on this particular wiki here is Chaos cards, especially when combined with other Chaos cards, can create incredibly tricky and complicated rules interactions. Player may find it difficult or frustrating to keep up with the complex consequences that result from even casting a single spell.
I see that only as a positive.
Oh, yeah. It's always fun.
I do understand that. Specifically, if you're maybe a newer player, it just gets too daunting. You just feel like if you're playing new to the pod and they start rattling off all these weird rules and you're like, I don't really know what even to try and do now.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's part of like the social contract at the beginning. And I think as long as when you're playing Chaos, you try and keep it fun. And don't just say, just do it and see what happens. Like, no one's going to lose any money. No one's going to die. Just see what happens.
Exactly. So that just rounds off the sort of Chaos archetype, the sort of strengths and weaknesses, and the perception of, is it a violation of the commander's social contract? It is, which is why you have the discussion beforehand, as you do with many games of Commander or just games of Magic in general. You have the discussion beforehand to determine the power level, the sort of play style that you want to achieve, and the experience that you want to have, really.
Yeah, Rob sort of moved on to something I was going to speak about a bit later, but we'll shoehorn it in here instead.
Yeah.
Rob said a better way to play with a bit of Chaos is to play some Plane Chase. And obviously that in itself, the planar dice, I believe even the symbol is called the Chaos symbol.
It is, yeah.
Even though both Planes Walking and the Chaos symbol both add a bit of chaos and fun to the event.
Yep.
And yeah, agree. It's good fun. And again, it's not the sort of thing you want to play every single day. You don't want to play it every time.
But yeah, Planes Chase is a fantastic example of a way of adding a chaotic element to the game, but still being able to play the deck. Just having like a sort of overarching world-based effect that everyone can take advantage of, but it is the same effect. Like, I know this isn't a Planes Chase card, but if you go to Innistrad, you can make a zombie if you do something. Or if you go to, I think I can't remember what it is now, but one of them has like a doubling season effect on the plane if you roll a chaos symbol, or something like that. But yeah, it's a nice way to sort of balance it out again with a bit of chaos, which is nice. So yeah, that's a good point. Chaos card, chaos in the form of Planes Chase. I don't think we'll ever see Planes Chase again, will we?
I don't see why not, personally. I think it's something there seems to be like a little sub community that really love it, and I don't see why they don't just print a few more every now and then. I don't know. I understand they can't do it too much because I don't know. There's only so many planes you can keep doing and things.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. I mean, it's quite expensive to get hold of now, but to be fair, there's Planes Chase apps that you can use on the iPad and stuff, and once we're able to get around a table again, I'm sure we'll experiment with it on the channel because I reckon it's quite fun. We did it once, but we just the video just went off on one. We just didn't really. It was quite an old video. We didn't really use it, but yeah, I can imagine it'd be quite fun to do.
Yeah, we should.
And there's a lot of like sort of the custom Magic community. There's a lot of people that have created their own sort of Planes Chase cards as well, which is quite cool. And you don't really need to balance it that much because it is still just a chaotic element. It's not like you're creating a custom card to put in a deck. It's just a custom effect that can be chaotic in nature. So you can sort of make your own ones up, and the custom community's jumped on with that as well.
Yeah, And I just had a thought then, as you were saying about that custom stuff.
Yeah.
What if they did it as part of the universes beyond?
Oh yeah, like different
Literally make a
worlds.
plane of the world. Like there
Yeah,
could be
that'd be.
one that is the Walking Dead world. It could be Fort Alexandria
Yeah,
and all
like
zombies get.
Mordor and stuff.
Oh my lord! Imagine that.
Yeah, like
Imagine that if the Lord of
Rivendell
the
and.
Rings set is actually just a plane chase set.
Oh yeah, they're missing a trick there. That'll be. They should employ us right away for that idea.
Yeah. Again, when
Different.
this happens, we'll.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Planes chase, worlds beyond, or universes beyond, whatever it is. Yeah, that'd be great. What else is there? What else are they doing? Warhammer 40k. So you could do like Tyrannid Primus or whatever it is called, the Tyrannid world. I'm sure Rob will come up with something now in the Warhammer 40k. It could be a plane, but I guess it's not a plane, is it? It's a worlds beyond. But they could be all be planes, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Different
Exactly.
multiverses. But yeah, that's a good space that they could venture into. So yeah, chaos. Chaos used to be there was a few sort of constructed formats back in sort of 2007 2008 called Chaos Magic, and I think this was before Planes Chase. I think it was considered an early form of Planes Chase. I think so. There's a couple of sources on here. MTG Wiki for Chaos Magic. They relate back to 2007 2008. But yeah, it says here Chaos is a casual multiplayer format for Magic the Gathering where the players add a Chaos deck to the game to create new and exciting challenges. It's a free-for-all and might be considered an early form of Planes Chase. So this probably is the sort of the origins of Planes Chase. So it's funny that we went into it there, actually. So a Chaos deck consists of 20 to 30 cards selected by some of the players involved. The player who goes first is designated the Chaos player. Before that player untaps at the beginning of their turn, the player flips a card from the Chaos deck face up on the table. The card is considered in effect until the Chaos player flips a different card after a full series of turns. So every turn you have like a stack of cards that you can just play for free, basically. So it just gives you that Chaos effect immediately, which sounds like an early form of, as it says here, Planes Chase, which sounds quite fun.
So it sounds like Plane Chase, but you're guaranteed to planeswalk once every turn around the table.
Yeah. And one player is designated the Chaos player, and then as soon as the Chaos player is eliminated, it goes to the player to their left, and they become the Chaos player. But that deck is determined before the game starts.
Yeah,
very much like a Planes Chase deck. So, just a bit of history there. It was a constructed format made for just a casual format back in 2007 2008, and that's probably what led to Planes Chase being done. Examples of cards that can use for a Chaos decks include Armageddon, which destroys all lands when it's flipped over, and Howling Mine, which is additional, which has each player to draw an additional card during their draw step. So
two very different effects.
Very different effects, yeah.
Which is, I guess, what it is.
Yeah, but yeah, I do like I generally do like the idea of having a sort of chaotic sort of thing in the game that nobody can control. They can spin their own wheels to their decks, but that chaotic element is still there that's not controlled by anybody, so it can still screw up everyone's plans. I do like that. And I think Planes Chase is always quite fun. Yeah, it's just interesting that we brung that up. So cheers, Rob, for that. And there's also been other things as well, like Chaos Draft. So, I mean, have you ever done one of those?
You better believe it.
So what is that? What's a Chaos Draft?
So Chaos Draft is where ideally you have 8 players, 3 boosters each, but every single booster at the table should be completely different. So that is that 24 different boosters? Yes.
Yeah.
Maths checks out. Obviously, it can be quite hard to get hold of 24 completely unique boosters. So a lot of the time, people do it with as much as a variety of boosters as they can. Like you might have a couple of sort of duplicates in there, but the idea is that you've got as many different sort of packs and sets in there as possible. And I don't know. Basically, there's no coherent synergy. You can just end up with a couple really powerful interactions, and you can just basically In one way, it rewards like just really good, solid drafting.
Mm-hmm.
But then in other ways, it rewards like you've also then got to be very creative with it. You've got to see why you're doing it, like the potential for things, and so like I think the people that do best, like the best ones, decks at the end are the ones that took maybe a chance at the beginning, and
Yeah.
obviously you've got to get lucky. You could take those chances and not get any of the payoff cards. So I guess it's again sort of knowing which payoffs you're likely to see. Like if you pick something that's, was it Ferocious, the mechanic that cares if you've got creatures with total power 8 or more or something?
I think so,
Or
yeah.
or power 4 or greater, one of those two. Like that one, you're pretty sure you can find something to build around that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you find like a really weird, specific like graveyard mechanic, you might end up getting nothing that helps with your graveyard synergy, and it's useless.
Yeah, it's like weird mechanics like Cipher from like Return to Ravnica that never got reprinted again.
Oh, Cypher was amazing. That's the
yeah,
one, wasn't it? When it dies, it comes back basically. No, but after you've cast it, it comes as like an enchantment on a creature, and then when
yeah.
it deals damage, you get to redo it.
Yeah, so you encode it onto the creature, and then when it deals damage, you get to copy that spell. I think every time it deals damage.
I remember I first did that in a draft on
Yeah,
Magic Online. It was one of their flashback drafts, and I had no really idea what the mechanic was, and I thought you only got to do it once. So I thought you got to cast the spell. I've got a feeling I didn't even think you got to the effect initially. I think I was casting it just thinking, oh, I'll then put it on this creature, and then when it attacks, I can get the ability later or something. And then it just
yeah. It
kept
was a
going
weird
and
one.
going and going, and it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so it was introduced in Gatecrash and last used in Dragon's Maze. So it was in that sort of Ravnica block.
Yeah, it was one block, wasn't it? Just
Yeah,
two
one
sets
block.
at the end.
And it was attached to sort of the Demir Guild a lot of the time. So the reminder text, I'll just read it out now. So Cipher. So you can. So it says Cipher. Then you may exile this spell card encoded on a creature you control. So you cast it, and then you exile it encoded on a creature you control. When that creature deals combat damage, you may cast a copy of the card without paying its mana cost. Yeah, so
Is
that's
it
what we
only
thought it was.
combat damage? Not even
Combat
to a
damage
player?
only. Combat damage. Oh, sorry, combat damage to a player. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say it gets even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
So it needs to go through the tap needs to go through to be able to copy that spell. So,
But hey,
it's
that's
quite
what what's it? That secret doorway card. That's what that's for.
suspicious bookcase. Rogue's Passage.
Rogue's Passage is the one I was thinking of, but Suspicious Bookcase is way better.
Just as good. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. So yeah, there's a random tangent for you. Cipher in Chaos Draft. Trying to build off of that. But it does say here as well, and rightly so, the mystery booster. It was made in 2019, and it does facilitate Chaos Draft because it is very chaotic in its nature, isn't it?
Yeah, because isn't there like thousands of cards in that set?
Yeah, like 10,000 plus, I think.
I don't think it's quite 10,000.
Oh, is it not?
I don't know how many there are. I'll try and find out. But like a normal set's only about 300, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 1,694 cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10,000 would be quite a lot of history, to be fair.
Basically everything.
That'd be reserve list and all sorts.
A potential. Imagine that. I think so. They could easily implement that on like Magic Online and stuff. Obviously, very hard for them to do in an actual paper form, but digitally, why not just make some sort of mega cube that's everything?
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. So we had this discussion before on the sort of when we did a quote unquote financial sort of episode, which will probably be revisited in the future because I think it was badly recorded at the time. But yeah, there was a discussion between actual card value in paper and then MTGO value. So I think one of the examples was Yavimaya Hollow was like 150 quid card, but the MTGO cost was like eight quid. So the actual,
I doubt it's even that, is it?
Probably not even that anymore. We're doing a quick Google now, yeah.
I don't know. Yavimaya.
Yeah, so Yavimaya Hollow is a reserve list card that regenerates a creature, but then if you get it on MTGO, the actual mechanic for that card is a lot less.
Yeah, literally 20p.
20p for Yavimaya Hollow.
Literally, like,
wow,
it's weird. And then there's a few other weird. Is it Hull Breacher? It's from the recent Commander set. I know it was madly expensive for a while. I don't know whether it's sort of come back down to a sensible price. Nope, £100 on Magic Online. Fair, it's still a £20-30 card in paper.
Wow.
But the fact is, if you want it online, £100.
Yeah, that's madness, isn't it? That's ridiculous.
Because again, it's to do with availability, isn't it? Some sets they print, obviously lots in paper, Commander Legends, but very little online. It was only available for a very limited sort of draft time.
Yeah.
Whereas then obviously other stuff, like the reserve list cards, for some reason they're allowed to reprint them and sort of make them available online, but they're not allowed to make them available in paper. So the price can only go up in paper, whereas online it can just absolutely bottom out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a weird one. But yeah, where was we going with that? I can't remember.
Finance is chaos in itself.
It is, yeah. So it's just it's a weird world out there, full of peaks and troughs, swings and roundabouts. So we're going to delve into chaos theme as described by EDH Rec now. So commanders or popular things in Commander which might use the chaos theme. So the most chaotic color combinations are obviously mono red with 229 decks. We've got Rakdos with 137 decks. So that's another chaotic color pairing is Rakdos. And my deck that I've built recently, which I'll explain a little bit later, is a Rakdos deck. Bit of chaos in there. Is quite chaotic with 912 decks. Jeskai, 384 decks. And then 5-color, 160 decks. So they're the most chaotic color combinations. Would you agree with that?
Yep, that sounds right.
Yeah. There's not much green in there. There's not much green or not much white in there. So they're very sort of regimented, aren't they? Green's like big creatures, white's like, lots of creatures, and not much chaos is involved with green and white colours, is it really? It's mainly the reds, blues, and blacks that delve into chaos.
Yeah. Weirdly, if you go onto the themes on EDH Rec, let's pop it up on the screen a moment. The card for it is just this annoyed Altasaur, which is a green cascade. Just very, of all the chaos cards, I think that'd ever come to mind.
What's it? What's the picture referring to there?
It's meant to just be like a type of chaos card.
Oh my goodness
me! For some reason,
annoyed Altasaur. It does look quite chaotic, though, doesn't it? And yeah, you're looking at exactly the same page as me. So the next bit I was going to look at there is popular tribes for chaos is demons and goblins. So yeah, there's a lot of chaotic demons, a lot of chaotic goblins out there, and they do synergize quite well together. I mean, as again, the deck that I've built, it has got a few goblins, got a few demons in there. So why do you think goblins and demons are chaotic?
I'd say they're not, because there's only 14 decks of each, Aaron.
Apparently.
I think this is what it's saying, that there isn't a chaotic tribe, which maybe there needs to be. There's a home that, I think we need to make one.
Like devils and demons, like what was done recently with Zerzoth.
Devils would be, I reckon. Devils would be a good one.
Yeah, I think so. Because demons are a lot more sort of blacker lines, like using your life for benefit. I mean, Rakdos have sort of delved into there. I think Rakdos have delved into sort of chaotic strategies, but but yeah, according to that, goblins and demons are chaotic strategies. Maybe that's because obviously Krark is in there, the guy that cares about flipping coins. Yeah, that's a mechanic that we see quite a lot in Chaos, is flipping coins. Rakdos, the showstopper, it cares about flipping coins.
Yes. And again, these two, are they the coin flip pair? Yeah, they are.
Coin flip pair.
Okan, Eye of Chaos, and Zinspirilt, Eye of Wisdom.
Yeah.
From the original Battle Bond set.
Yeah. So, a couple of interesting commanders there. I don't know why Golos is in there. That's more of a good stuff commander.
That's someone not playing well. That's not.
No.
I bet all 44 of them decks contain Time Sifter.
I hope not. Oh, goodness me. So yeah, we got a couple of different themes there. Obviously, we might as well just go into those now briefly. So we got Zedru. So he cares about. This is one of the original commander decks that you got, wasn't it, Zedru?
Yeah. Political puppets.
So political puppets, yeah. So what does Zedru care about doing? How is that chaos? How does that warp the game? What he's doing there,
So, yeah,
or she's doing?
Zedru just wants you to exchange control with stuff, or not even exchange, just give away stuff to your opponents.
Yeah. Why would you want to do that?
I don't know, especially not when it doesn't contain black. It is a
No.
question I've asked myself many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can just give them negative effects, or just obviously, as it is a lot of political sort of stuff.
It's just a weird mechanic, isn't it? Again, it's just warping the game. It's just like, why would you want to give away your own permanence to someone? And yeah, this is represented a lot better in another card, which I spoke about in great detail, and that's Blim, the comedic genius, which cares about giving people permanence. Not sure if it's not even on there. No. What does EDH Rec know? Absolutely nothing.
See, this one when you just take the hive mind of fools, you end up with nonsense.
Absolutely. So yeah, we'll talk about him later. But yeah, so we'll talk about him now. It's exactly the same thing. It's giving people permanence that they don't want, basically, which is just quite chaotic. Yeah, let's just type him in there. And this is an imp. He is an imp. So devils and imps could be a good tribe to replicate chaos.
I think just go full imp.
Full imp.
Yep.
Yeah. They don't have a clue what they're doing, do they? And they're just in it for a laugh. Look at him. He's just
not. How many imps are there, do you reckon, in the game?
Not many.
39.
Is that it?
Yep. So yeah, I think we could definitely move imps into the chaos.
God, that volcano imp looks awesome.
Which one?
One right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Black and red as well.
I was looking at Teferi's imp, this weird little cat thing.
Teferi has an imp.
Apparently so. No, that is something we've not seen recently in the storyline, and I hope it ends up being like a real crucial factor. Like Jin-Gitaxias would just be like about to slice Teferi's head off, and then in flies this little imp with this little scroll, and just like starts savaging. And like, it's like, my imp, he's back after all these years.
Scratching Jin-Gitaxias. Yeah, scratching his eyes out. So yeah, devils, not devils. Well, yeah, probably devils. Demons and goblins, apparently the most chaotic tribes out there. So what other chaotic effects do we have? Obviously, we got Atali, which was recently reprinted in Time Spiral, the new one.
Yes. Not back in the old border.
Back in the old border,
which. I say, seeing the old border, just gone another little tangent here. Seeing more of the old borders and stuff come in through this thing, I was thinking maybe that is the direction Magic needs to lean on. Is back to the old school. Like lots of card games are looking like, oh look how cool, and like especially like Pokemon and stuff, very futuristic looking weird cards and like real like mega hologram and the art goes everywhere and stuff. Maybe Magic says like what we're good at is our history, and the history is. Like just lean really heavily into like, oh look how like cool and mystical and magical this looks.
Yeah.
And then use like the collector's editions. Like we've got enough like weird extra editions that you can still print these cool, fancy, shiny versions that match the crazy Pokemon stuff. But then I don't know, lean more into like this does look mystical, and it does look like an old spell book sort of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely got that sort of that withered spellbook tome sort of aspect to it, which has been lost now in the sort of flashy cards.
Yeah,
a little bit, and nostalgia is a massive thing. So yeah, I'm sure they'll continue to use it. I mean, it's got a good reception so far, hasn't it? I mean, obviously it's all reprints, so you can't really expect some new flashy things in there with regards to new cards. But again, it's just nice to see them go. It was, as you said last time, a love letter to the older players. So that's nice to see.
I'm still not 100% whether or not I'm going to pick any up. I doubt it. I still don't think. But I do understand a lot of people will love it. I think what I would like to do is just try and draft it, to be honest. I think that seems like...
that'll be hilarious. Time Spiral as well would be a bit of a chaotic draft, I guess.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit, isn't it? It's
There's no real theme, is there? So there's just a mixed match of all sorts of different things, different borders, and there's definitely a chaotic feel to it. But yeah. So yeah, going back to Atali, one of our favourites. So yeah, this cares about whenever it attacks, exile top card of each player's library. You may cast a number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana costs. So just one of those chaotic effects, but it is all upside. It's no downside at all. So it's not really chaos. It's more just value, isn't it, Atali?
Yeah, yeah. If sort of some would argue better, some would argue more chaotic version would be like for Victus Asmadi.
Oh yeah,
Jund Elder Dragon.
Our old friend.
And he doesn't seem to be on here either. So again,
No.
people have missed him. But yeah, he's the when he attacks, you can blow up permanents, and then people flip the top of their library until they hit another permanent and replace it.
Yeah.
Which obviously you're going to hit everyone's best permanents and your own worst, so that yours can only be improved, theirs will hopefully be weakened. But
yeah,
you never know. You never know what you might uncover in someone else's deck.
No. I mean that those sort of decks can obviously manipulate that sort of chaos as well, can't they? On their side of the board, anyway. So if you've got like a Sensei Divining top or a Soothsaying or something that rearranges the top cards, you can sort of manipulate that chaos. But the further you delve into the chaos cards, which obviously we'll get to in a moment, the more things can just get out of control. I mean, these commanders on here, or these cards on here, obviously being built to sort of capitalize on the upside of the chaos rather than all the downside and the unpredictability.
Notice how many of them are quite recent.
Yeah.
Because obviously now they make it that the chaos is more one-sided.
Yeah.
You can it's easier to control. Whereas old school chaos was just like, all right, everyone's going to shuffle up and we're going to start again.
Oh, it was mental. I'm sure some of those cards will come up in a minute, but yeah, they're some ridiculous cards which we're going to get to in a sec. So yeah, there's quite a lot of different themes with regards to chaos. Yeah, and obviously we can get into the list per se in a moment. But another one of your favourites there, Corona False God, which is a cool multicolour card, making an appearance. Cares about again exchange. Creature types, and then giving it away to somebody else to sort of make use of, which is interesting. So yeah, quite a lot of different things represented there. And I've got a new deck idea, which is obviously going to delve into some of the themes that we're going to explore as well in a moment. But what sort of list have you got then?
Actually, it's not really a list. So yeah, on there was our good friend Victus Asmadi.
Yeah.
And Atali. And another one. This is another sort of more control-y sort, is Thief of Sanity.
All right.
So Thief of Sanity, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of that player's library and exile one of them face down. Then put the rest of them in their graveyard. You may look at and cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may spend mana as though it was in mana of any type to cast that spell. So again, it's just about using your opponent's sort of deck against them. They're not going to expect that. That's where the sort of chaos element is there. It's a different sort of chaos. It's not. It doesn't warp everything, but the fact it's taken stuff off the top. Obviously, if someone's scried something to the top, you can just be like, okay, I'll just manipulate that and make sure you don't get that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a cool effect. There's a couple of other cards that do that as well, like Gonti cares about exiling cards and being able to use people's own deck against them. And I think that's like the Demir sort of chaos effect, is stealing other people's things, isn't it? From
it's like the thieving aspect of the chaos. So maybe not quite as true chaos as our red allies, but it's nice that the rest of the colour pie get theirs.
No, yeah, there's definitely an aspect to to everything. Everything has its own sort of chaotic effect, and that is definitely to me as stealing other people's things. What else we got on there?
So another one is my old friend Polymorph.
Yeah, blue chaotic effect.
So yeah, the blue chaotic one. So this is destroying a creature and then flipping through the library, like whoever's creature it is, flipping through the library and get until they hit another creature and putting that into the battlefield. Again, this is more predominantly used though as a way of cheating your own stuff into play.
Yeah.
Obviously, when Polymorph was in standard, that's when Emrakul was about, original OG 15 mana Emrakul.
Yeah.
So the idea was you'd have Polymorph, a load of sort of good control cards, some little token makers, and a Polymorph. And you just do that, hit your Emrakuls, and cackle as you win. Which takes the real chaos out of chaos when you know that it can only hit one permanent. It's the same as the Tybalt's Trickery decks in standard and modern at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen that many times. I mean, people want to break chaos, and they can do it with these sort of cards like Tybalt's Trickery. It's like, oh, Wizards made it thinking, oh, no one's ever gonna use this and counter their own spells with it, surely.
Yeah.
But people find a way.
It's the same as the Polymorph thing. Oh yeah, you'll only kill your opponent's stuff and hope that it doesn't get better. It's the same as the red. Is it Chaos Warp? And things.
So there was the Chaos Warp. You can Chaos Warp your own thing. But I think there was also another one called is it Transmogrify? The red one.
That's one of the new ones. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the red ones.
Red Polymorph.
Yeah. I think Josh actually tried to make a whole sort of modern deck with transmogrifying Grizzlebrands and all that sort of stuff, which is quite interesting. I think he showed us to it at some point. But yeah, that's another good shout. Is obviously blue's polymorphing effect. So that's a nice little chaotic effect in blue, which is nice.
So mass polymorph for just 2 more mana. You can exile all creatures you control. Specific has to be yours.
Yeah.
Then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal that many creature cards. Put all creature cards revealed this way onto the battlefield. Then shuffle the rest revealed this way into your library.
Yeah, that's madness.
Part of me does want to see. I don't know, what could you do with mass polymorph? Like you want to basically just tokens out.
Yeah.
But loads of creatures in your deck.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you make sure your creatures stay in the deck without you accidentally getting them out to be polymorphed away. I think that's what the main problem is.
Seems like a deck you would make.
Yeah.
Well, you have made Jalira.
I'd say we have our rightful leader on the left, Jalira, Master Polymorphist.
Yeah.
And the massive downfall on Jalira, as we all know, apart from the absurdly high cost of 3 mana in mono blue, is that it's non-legendary. And that just ruins all the fun you can have with Jalira.
Yeah.
Basically, your only game plan is Blightsteel Colossus, one-shot Infect. And then you just think, well, if we're going to do that, we may as well just pack up and go home.
Pretty much.
Because if I don't just accidentally whiff and hit a Sigiled Starfish, where's the fun anymore?
Yeah. No, that's a good shout, though, yeah. Polymorph is a chaotic effect. Obviously, it can be used for cheating big things into play, but again, you can just whiff sometimes, as you said, with the starfish.
Yeah.
I sacrifice my token. Oh, I get a starfish. Great. What does it do? Scries 1 or something like that. Don't think it even does that anymore. So yeah, blue. Nice to see blue chaos there.
So the next one, this by itself may not look very chaotic. Zombie Infestation. Enchantment. Discard 2 cards and create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Where's the chaos, you ask? Well, if you pair that with a little card I like to call Treasure Hunt. 1 second.
Treasure Hunt.
Is this going to let me do this? I don't really know, to be honest. There we go. We've also got Treasure Hunter. You can ignore that. And then Treasure Hunter says, for 2 mana, it's a sorcery. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. Then put all cards revealed this way into your hand. Again, not very chaotic. With these that are only 2 cards in your deck, you basically just draw all of your cards by playing a treasure hunt, because then the only thing you can hit is zombie infestation. Then play your infestation, discard your whole hand, which is now like 1,000,000 cards because you've just gone through your whole library, and get a load of zombies and win, theoretically. So it's similar sort of thing to the Tybalt's Trickery decks. And this is what I'm going to put them in there here for. Like, they're chaotic in the nature. You have very little control over whether or not it's going to work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the new Mulligan rule means that they work almost all the time now.
Yeah, I've seen it happen on Arena. They literally mulligan down to 3 cards to get what they need. Yeah.
Whereas before, when you mulligan down to 3, also when you only saw 3 cards, it's quite risky to think, I need to just hit a treasure hunt. Whereas if every time you're hitting 7, you've got such a high chance of definitely hitting a treasure hunt now.
Yeah.
The chaotic nature of these has been spoiled. But I just want to mention these just funny little decks that are basically 2-card combos that the whole deck can be built with just 2 cards.
Yeah, and it's almost it's chaotic, but it's also very very focused as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like it is chaos, but it is also very focused strategy.
Yeah, because you're only doing one thing. There's only ever one outcome. Well, two outcomes, and I think that's it. It's just a coin flip. You either hit your thing on the turn it needs, like turn 2, and you'll have enough to beat your opponent, or you do nothing and you lose by your opponent just playing their cards.
Yeah, it's mental. It's like all or nothing, pure gambling effects, basically.
So again, as we sort of said before, like with the cycling deck, they're fun to do every now and then, but they do also get very tedious after a while.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to bring Zombie Hunt as my number 1 modern deck to F&M every week, hoping to cash in on them sweet promos.
Yeah.
Because I think you'd get very bored of that just every time. And also, I think once you did start doing that fairly often at your local F&M, they'd know that, and they'd quite quickly pack some sideboard hate, and your deck would probably lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time. Not even just half the time.
Yeah, once people prepare for something that, if you interact with it just in a slight way, they just lose straight away.
Yeah.
So it's
the element of surprise, isn't it, that these decks aim on. You suddenly see something and then it's too late. The whole plan's been executed.
Yeah. It's a gambit, isn't it? It's an absolute gambit.
Yeah, they're definitely more of a combo deck rather than a chaos deck. But
yeah.
I just like the coin flip element being in chaos. Is what I
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Nice, good mention. I'm going to throw something in there now. Just type this into the thingy. Grip of Chaos.
Ooh.
So chaos is in the name. Grip of Chaos. So this is from Scourge. Grip of Chaos.
No, that's
Grip of Chose.
What if I spelt wrong? Chaos. Did I get the A and the O around the wrong way? Yes, I did.
That's it.
Sorry.
Here he is. So 6 mana enchantment from Scourge. Red and 4 for an enchantment. Whenever a spell or ability is put onto the stack, if it has a single target, reselect its target at random.
This sounds good. I don't know why I've not played with this, Aaron.
Yeah. So pretty funny. So if you murder something, if you try and murder a target, it then reselects that murder at random for any spell that could target. So it basically could hit any creature. You target someone's Blightsteel Colossus, and then it just redirects it to any target on the table, basically. It's pretty good, pretty funny. So nobody's spells will resolve on their intended targets, basically. So you might as well just cast it at something just at a random target, hoping that it'd be random to the one you want to target.
As it says here, if there's no other legal target, it can only reselect the one target there was.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think if counters still work or not. Like if I just cast a spell, then you go to counter it. Could your counter basically only counter itself or my spell, or can it only counter my spell?
So whenever a spell ability is put into a stack, if it has a single target, redirect its target at random. Yeah, so I guess but both spells are on the stack still, so so the counter could potentially counter itself.
I think so.
Yeah, because they're still on the stack, aren't they? They're both still on the stack.
So basically, this then frees out all counter spells have a 50-50 chance of failure.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, so it's just a funny card, and it is one I do want to get for the deck that I've got, which I'll go into in a moment because I don't have anything in there that really does. Well, I do, but I'm thinking of taking it out. But just because this is just hilarious. But yeah, Grip of Chaos. I thought it was a good one.
And I think the flavor text sums up me and you quite well.
Yeah.
When the world is consumed by chaos, the skilled and the foolish are on equal footing. And that lets us compete with Rob and Josh.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They're
the
not
skilled and the
really.
foolish.
They're the foolish, if anything.
Oh, brilliant. Actually, no. To be fair, we had I did a stream the other day. It was me playing Arena for about 40 minutes, and then we played EDH on Spell Table. We streamed it yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, and there was a 3-hour game in there at the end. It was like a 4.5-hour stream that we did.
Nice.
There was a 3-player game in there, EDH paper, and then there was a 4-player game in there with Josh, Josh, Rob, and Tom from Tabletop Republic. And it was a 3-hour game, and it was just all interaction. So I like to consider myself fairly decent now. I don't consider myself a fool anymore. But
do you think Arena's helped? Do you think sort of you've improved your game since playing Arena?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think my best deck is the Dharmia Sage of Stone deck because it's literally just all interaction. And even the Command Zone did an episode on this recently. They did a new sort of EDH deck building template.
Yeah.
And they've increased the count of interaction cards like single target removal spells or counter spells being the most pivotal aspect of someone's deck because it interacts with your opponents. And that sort of ties in what we're saying here is that Chaos just interacts with every single spell that people play.
Yeah.
So it's hard to control and hard to sort of get your grip on that game, no pun intended, but this Grip of Chaos, you can't, it's hard to fight your way through if everything is being interacted with, which is why I think Chaos is just a great way of just throwing a spanner in there.
It is fantastic.
Yeah. So interaction is the key to victory, but probably not so much in the form of Chaos, but it does make it extremely difficult for people to play or sort of work their strategies. So it's Grip of Chaos. Do you have any others before I read off some more?
So I had the obvious possible.
Oh yeah, absolute classic.
Storm.
Now this is an always fun card. Everyone loves this card.
This is where I always find you get the absolute mad interactions. Yeah. So it is, of course, the 5-mana enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it, then exile cards from the top of their library until they exile a card that shares a type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put all cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of their library in a random order. What's not to love?
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, let's go with a murder again. So if you cast a murder, which is an instant, you instead exile that instant, and then look at the top card of your library and exile the cards on top of your library until you exile an instant, and you cast that instead.
That was my little... Did you like my little acting out of how it happens?
Yeah, so I like that.
So yeah, it's just wicked fun and just nonsense.
Yeah, so it's a good card. And you can actually get some good value out of this as well. So for instance, if you're looking for a certain artifact, you can be like, oh, I can play this Mana Rock now, which is actually just going to morph into an artifact, which could be the one I'm looking for. And this happened at a Tabletop Republic After Hours game that we played. I don't actually have it anymore because I had to clear out my drive, so we'll never see that, unfortunately. But that was a prime example of that. Everyone was like, oh, if I play a creature, it means I could potentially go and get this other creature, so let's play it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And everyone was having fun. So, fantastic card.
And obviously, it makes all your small mana cards so much better because it's not just
Oh
like
yeah,
first time every turn. And I feel like if they maybe made this today, it would say the first spell you cast from your hand each turn or something. But the
yeah,
fact it's any spell, you can, if you've got lots of like 1-drops in hand, you can just be like
yeah.
drop, and then oh no, that's actually now a massive dragon. Bang! Actually now this is a massive like powerful sorcery. Bang! This
Yeah.
is now something else huge. Oh whoops! I've actually just gone into a counter that does nothing. Shame. That's what the chaos is for.
Yeah. I absolutely love it, and I reckon at some point they're going to put this in the command zone. They'll put it on a creature, but they will say like the first card you cast each turn does the same thing. I reckon they'll put it on a body soon. So yeah, just a couple more cards. Well, it depends how many you've got, but there's a couple more cards I want to mention.
You reel some off. I've got a few more too. So we'll
cool.
see where we end up.
So another card that has chaos in its name. So I wonder if this is on your list. And this is called Planar Chaos, which was actually the name of a set, I believe.
I do believe so. Planar Chaos.
Which is why it's sprung up loads of different cards there.
But yeah, there it is.
There's
a lot of chaos there. Well, how many is there? There's 28 cards with chaos in its name.
Oh, should have probably looked at that first. Chaos Wand. What is that? Oh, we'll go to the card I mentioned first.
So
brilliant.
What does it do, Aaron?
So it's an enchantment again. So again, a lot of chaos cards are enchantments because they have a everlasting effect on the game.
Yeah.
And this is another one. So red and 2 for a nice little cheap enchantment. So again, this is one of the ones that could go in the deck that I'm going to build in a bit. So at the beginning of your upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose to flip, sacrifice Planar Chaos. So it has a massive downside that it could just go straight away. But
only
whenever a player
only in your upkeep, can't go straight away.
That's true.
Got at least one, it's got one go around the table at least.
Oh, that makes it a lot better. Excellent. So yeah, whenever a player plays a spell, that player flips a coin. If he or she loses, counter that spell.
Harsh.
So it's just absolute chaos.
And really good if you pair it with some of the coin flip decks like Krark, the 2 one-eyed fellows. If you can combine it with other coin flip shenanigans, so that your coin flips are much more likely to come up heads than your opponents and things. Yeah.
That's what I mean, because we've got Krark, which is obviously a coin flip matters commander that was recently Commander Legends. So I reckon we will get more sort of chaos support and like Blim. So that there has been some promising cards for chaotic players. So I reckon they probably will still continue that trend later on down the line, which I hope. Because it's always fun. There's always chaos decks around, so I reckon they'll always print a couple of cards to sort of match that archetype.
Yeah, it seems that coin flip, they're sort of relatively happy to have in small quantities.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll soon see a whole mechanic, a whole set based around coin flipping, but I doubt it.
Oh, that'd be hilarious if we did. Just a pure chaos set. That'd be hilarious to play on Arena. So yeah, another one with chaos in its name, Planar Chaos. So that's quite good. I didn't realise that it has to go around the whole table before you have the chance of sacking it. So that makes it a little bit better.
Yeah.
We've also got another one which might appear on your sort of list, but that's Thieves Auction.
Oh no, I don't have this. What's this? I don't even know what this means.
This is a frowned upon card in EDH. So yeah, Thieves Auction.
Is it because it's white border? Is that the controversy?
Is that the only printing as well? Yeah, 8th edition or Stadium Masks.
There's one in Masks as well.
Yeah, so that's the old border there. Look, so get that one up. That's a nice one. Yeah,
better.
That's much better. Lovely. So yeah, this is very, very old card. So red, and 4. So it's a big sorcery this time, but it does reset the game. It's utter madness. Exile all non-token permanents. So I'm going to read the Oracle text. Exile all non-token permanents. That's everything. Lands, everything, apart from obviously non-tokens. Starting with you, each player chooses one of the exile cards and puts it onto the battlefield tapped under their control. Repeat this process until all cards exiled this way have been chosen. Oh, just imagine playing this on spell table.
Oh no! Don't imagine that. Just give up and go. But yeah, that does sound. But even not even just on spell table. Imagine playing this and two of you got the same sleeves on your deck.
Yeah. You're playing for Auntie then.
Shuffle through and just try and work out whose was whose, especially when you get down to basic lands.
Yeah. Can you see why this is frowned upon, this card?
Yeah. But I'm down for it every now and then.
As long as everyone's playing with different colour sleeves and we can sort of...
I think that's what you'd have to do. I think if you saw that you had a few people wearing all in the blue sleeves, you just hold that in hand and hope someone has a wheel effect.
Yeah. Oh, just imagine if you weren't playing with any sleeves at all. That'd be absolute chaos, wouldn't it? Back in the old days, you'd be giving cards away with this. Ridiculous.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Yeah. So I thought that was a funny card. So let's just continue on this trend with big red cards. You might have some in your list, but I'm sure there'll be some crossover. The next one is a card called Scrambleverse. Is this on your list?
This one was on my list.
Yeah, you can read it out then.
So it's 6 red for a sorcery. For each non-land permanent, choose a player at random. Then each player gains control of each permanent for which they were chosen. Untap those permanents. So very similar to
Thieves Auction.
Thieves Auction. The only difference is these don't re-enter, so you don't get any ETB effects or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I guess they will enter untapped with Thieves Auction as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty good.
What I do like is all these spells. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest, that they're all very cheap. I was half expecting them all to just be like, I don't know, annoyingly expensive. Maybe just like I don't know, like $2 each. So that if you want to throw a big chaos deck together, it's like, I'm gonna have to now like put like a good few £100 into making this deck, and it's not really gonna be particularly one to use a lot. Tom has said, I wonder how many of these are in my much-loved Chaos deck. Well, Tom, you may have missed that Aaron's already berated your Time Shifter, or whatever it's called.
Oh, yeah. Time Sifter. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Tom actually dropped a link to his Chaos deck in the Discord. I'm not sure if we can access it and flash it up at all.
We cannot.
It's probably long in the past, Pint. Probably long in the past.
Time
shitter.
Time shitter. Get out. Get out. We will not have that language here.
Time shitter. That's how I felt when I didn't get a turn. It was like literally it was Tom, it was then Tom's turn, Rob's turn, Tom's turn, Rob's turn, Rob's turn. I didn't even get a turn. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I'm looking for. So you carry on.
Scrambleverse, great card. And finally, another one that's on there, which is probably on your list as well, is Warp World.
Indeed, it was. Is that 2 separate words, I assume? It's not just one, is it? Yeah, Warp World.
Yeah.
I think this was one of the first cards I saw and was really like, this, like, there is chaos in this game, sort of thing. I think it's like one of the first ones I saw, and I really was, I don't know, excited to just think of what sort of madness that's going to go.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Warp World. So red, and 5 for a sorcery. Again, another massive sorcery. Each player shuffles all permanents they own into their library, then reveals that many cards from the top of their library. Each player puts all artifact, creature, and land cards revealed this way onto the battlefield, then does the same for enchantment cards, then puts all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield on the bottom of their library. So again, just resetting the game in just a really bizarre way. And for some reason on the stream, you are streaming through Discord at the moment.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So all of our messages are now being seen by the wide public.
Well, there we are. You can see what sort of abuse they sling around. That's just a little teaser. If you want to join the Discord, you're welcome.
You can, you can, by all means. But yeah, I think it's in there somewhere. We will try and find it and put it on the notes on the show notes below. So I will try and do that. But yeah, Warp World, another way of just resetting the game. So, but in a chaotic fashion, because everyone gets just different permanents from the permanents they had on the field. So I guess that's probably in Tom's deck as well.
Yeah, I remember there was a really specific interaction I wanted to do with this, but I can't really remember what it
Yeah, I
was.
remember as well. But I can't remember what it was.
I think my idea was make as many tokens as possible.
Oh yeah, and then replace them all with actual permanents
Yeah,
out of your library.
because
Yeah, I
you get
remember.
rid of all your permanents. So if you've got 50 tokens, you then just get 50
Yeah.
permanents that could be better. Well, should be better if they're small, weak tokens.
Was there a reason why you couldn't do it? I remember.
I seem to remember we then came across like a rules thing that then stopped us, but I can't remember. No, then does the same for enchantment.
I've got a really nice Japanese version one as well. I'm not sure if you can get it up on the screen, which is why I'm just trying to look for it now and see if I can show people. But I wouldn't try. Even though I'm learning the language, I probably wouldn't even be able to comprehend this because it's just so many rules on one card. But yeah, I'm not sure if you can get the Japanese one up. No, you can't. So I'm going to try and get it now.
Of what Warp World?
Yeah, Japanese Warp World one. Yeah. Oh, you can. There's languages on there.
Yeah.
Look how ridiculous that looks.
That is. There's no more of a wall of text than the normal one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just looks. Yeah, it looks like a. Yeah, it looks awesome.
I like how much the can you see there? I don't know if it's too small. How much the text is all shifting around just between the editions. I don't know if that's updated.
Even the colouring as well, like changes.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I do like. I'm not sure whether they've done this for the Time Spiral cards. I do like the way some of the cards were like sort of off colour. I mean, now they look like a lot of them look really, really bright, whereas the old ones look really off color, which is what I like. I had two cards. Oh no, I'm just going off on a tangent now. But yeah, that's another good card. Another good card, Warp World. So yeah, just Chaos is just a fantastic theme overall, really, and loads of interaction with it. Again, you just want to have that conversation beforehand. Do you mind if I play my Chaos deck? No, let's give it a go, see what happens. But again, it's not one of those strategies that you want to play over and over and over again because it just warps it into a state where you're not actually playing Magic anymore. You're just seeing what happens with the cards that you've got.
Yeah.
But I do like to incorporate some sort of chaos elements into a deck, even though I'm not sort of running a chaos deck. I like to have a chaos element in there sometimes, just because of that, the way that it can screw with the game, and it can really derail people if they are sort of going off.
Yeah, you can really sort of turn the tables.
Yeah, it's like in Atali. Your sort of Atali deck cares about extra combats, getting extra value off of his attacks. But then if you play Possibility Storm, it's not affecting his value engine because you're still casting stuff off the top of other players' libraries. It's just in a different order.
Yeah.
But it can screw with everybody else.
It doesn't change it at all, does it? Because isn't Possibility Storm already from hand?
Oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
When you're doing it from the top with Atali, it doesn't come from the hand, so it doesn't get affected. So you know what them cards are going to be. Whereas so basically every time you attack with Atali, you know you'll get, unless it's obviously lands, but you're getting 4 spells where you know what's actually happening with those spells.
Yeah,
rather than everyone else having to sort of cast from hand and not really know what's going on.
Oh, is that So it says on the card when you cast from your hand. Is it a Possibility Storm?
Yeah, Possibility Storm.
I see. Yeah, nice. Yeah, because we had that interaction when we were playing, didn't we, with Tom and Kieran at Tabletop Republic?
Yeah, so
from his or her hand. Yeah, nice. Yep. So again, that's probably why Golos likes it, because Golos has the spin the wheel effect, where you cast it from the top of your library, so you can get around it like Possibility Storm. So I guess that's probably why those sort of cards will have those effects on there, because you just cast from your library, like Kinnan, Bond of Prodigy, Golos, stuff that the new sort of Ice Shaper card that allows you to cast things on top of your library doesn't really get affected by these sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a good way around it, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a good way for you to sort of control the chaos.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, just good sort of stuff all around. And another sort of chaotic theme that we haven't gone into yet, because I thought I'd save it till this new deck that I'm building, is forced combat theme. So this is going to be led by a commander called Karda Doomscourge, which is a new one from Kaldheim.
How on earth you spell Karda?
Yes, Kardur. So this is the new commander for my new deck, Kardur Doomscourge. So it's only an uncommon commander from Kaldheim, but it is on that theme, black and red demon berserker. So it is a demon, and as we saw earlier, popular tribes were demons for chaotic decks. I'm not sure how sort of accurate that is, but there we go. It's supported here. So yeah, black, red, and 2 for a legendary demon berserker. It's a 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. So when this comes out, it just makes all of your opponent's creatures attack each other rather than you. So you're protecting yourself for an entire turn of combat is not coming at you, and you're using everyone else's creatures to kill each other with, basically. And then it has the little sort of another sort of little bit of text there as well. Whenever an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So there's a bit of redundancy in the fact that it can also drain people from the combat that's being ensued on the table, which is nice.
Yeah.
And Tom's mentioned there that he was tempted to make a similar deck with Thantis. Yeah, I used to have a Thantis deck, which is why this sort of interested me. So Thantis has got another bit of awesome text on. So so this is a Jund Spider from the Lord Windgrace deck, Nature's Vengeance. Black, red, green for a legendary creature Spider. Obviously, it's got 3 colorless in there as well. But it does say all creatures attack each combat if able. So that's the main difference, is that all of your creatures also have to attack. Whereas with Kardur, it goads everything, basically.
Because also they can all just keep attacking you. Then, all right, if you want to have combat, you have combat, you deal with this. Whereas, when you say you can fight but not me, it just makes it, so powerful.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I've piloted it like a few times, like goldfishing. But yeah, it just seems like it's going to be an absolute menace to deal with. But yeah, Thantis is a good shout because obviously it's a 5/5 vigilance reach. All creatures attack each combat if able, but that does mean that your creatures have to attack. So you do have to have some value in that attack happening. And Thantis can get massive as well. But I just thought black and red is much more sort of linear way of doing forced combat. Albeit it's harder to ramp because there's no green in there, but that's the price you pay, really. So yeah, forced combat. So there's loads of different forced combat cards out there. So goad is a mechanic that does forced combat, and I think if Kardur Doomscourge was in any other set, like a standard set or something else, it would say goad all creatures your opponents control. But because it's in Kaldheim, it dumbs it down a bit. I think it doesn't actually include that mechanic in there, does it?
No, they don't like including mechanics by name if it's not like a featured mechanic of the set. But if you're right, if Kardur had first been made for a commander set or first been made for a supplemental set, it probably would have just said goad on it. But what I wish they'd do is print it like as they have done in the Kaldheim boosters, but its official Oracle text would say goad, which meant if it was ever reprinted in the future, it would then say goad on it. That's what I wish they'd do. I'm sure there's probably like small reasons why they don't. Like there'll be like some weird rules thing where technically there's like slight differences, but it's just a bit annoying. I wish there wasn't that.
That is basically what it reads, though, isn't it? Goad. That's basically what it reads. As we were speaking about earlier with regards to Possibility Storm in the command zone, this is basically Disrupt Decorum in the command zone, which is that card there for red, and 2. Goad all creatures you don't control. So that is basically in your command zone. So if you can flicker Kardur or make it enter the battlefield multiple times, which you probably can because it's only a 4-drop. So if it dies, it just goes back to your command zone. You cast it for 6 or cast it for 8. Or you can return it to your hand with things like not Conjurer's Closet, Erratic Portal, and Conjurer's Closet to flicker it to get that enter the battlefield constantly going. It is ridiculous how much chaos that can ensue. And it not only serves as a form of protection for you, but it also uses your opponent's creatures against each other. I think that's just a brilliant spell to have in the command zone, is Disrupt Decorum.
Yeah.
It's not actually in the deck because I don't think it needs to be in there because you've got it on your commander.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I'd say it would be good just maybe if you needed just one more turn. Just maybe it's like late in the game. You can just get someone to do it one more time.
Yeah, I do want to include it in there, but I don't know what the price is like on it. I think it is still quite high, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a £10 card. Sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's not worth it when it's on the commander. But yeah, you also want to make use of the enter the battlefield effects of Conjurer's Closet and Erratic Portal and stuff that returns it to your hand and stuff. So, but yeah, a couple of Force Combat cards which sort of relate to the Chaos theme. So one of them is called Confusion in the Ranks. This is a good one. So again, from Mirrodin. So Mirrodin loved the Chaos.
Yeah.
Loved the Chaos.
You can look at a lot of them are sort of like Judgment, Scourge, Mirrodin.
Yeah.
And even Ravnica seems to get like sort of old school Ravnica seems to have a handful of them as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it was quite old mechanics were loved back then, which is of the nostalgic as well. And this art as well is just very, very old school Magic style art.
Yeah.
Which is what I like. So this is again an enchantment from Mirrodin. Red, and 3. Whenever an artifact, creature, or enchantment comes into play or enters a battlefield, its controller chooses target permanent another player controls that shares a type with it. Exchange control of those permanents. It's brilliant.
Its controller chooses. Oh, yeah. So something like your opponents obviously get. I don't know what. How many times does this just revolve around everyone stealing one thing?
Yeah,
everyone just keeps stealing like the one biggest creature and just moving it around the table. And
but then they have to think about like enchantments and artifacts as well coming in because they're just going to switch control of stuff. So it sort of hinders their plans to play creatures because they know they have to steal someone else's.
So you're on the right track because Tom said that he'll be adding it to his deck once it's easier to take other players' cards without whiteboard cards. So once we can all meet up in sort of real life. Because that's what I think. Yeah, Chaos decks in general quite hard to play in online versions like Spell Table and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few cards I'd probably take out if I'm playing online. This is probably one of them.
Yeah.
Any sort of exchange control stuff. But this deck has a sub theme of like the threaten effects and the sort of active treason where you steal something temporarily.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of those effects in there as well, and sack outlets. So you can it's basically a high cost removal spell, but it also gives you benefit in the fact that you can attack with their creatures before you sack them for benefit. So you steal one of their creatures with like active treason. You then attack with it and then sack it to like a barrage of expendables. So it deals 1 damage. Then they get rid of their creature. So there's loads of different effects in there with regards to stealing people's things temporarily. And another funny card as well, chaotic in this deck, is called Tide of War. Again, an enchantment.
From Kamigawa.
So another really, really cool piece of art there. Just dictates loads of sort of different characters just fighting for no reason, just pure chaos. Red, and 4 for again an enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures blocks, flip a coin. If you win the flip, the defending player sacrifices all blocking creatures. Otherwise, the attacking player sacrifices the blocked creatures. So yeah, just ridiculous. Especially when your opponent.
If you lose to each blocked creature.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's high risk, high reward.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter because in this deck, everyone else's creatures are going to be fighting each other. It's not going to affect you at all.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, of course. No, well done.
Because you're just going to play Carder, force everybody to attack each other, and then withdraw Carder from the battle by returning it to your hand with like Erratic Portal or Conjurer's Closet or whatever it is. So yeah, Carder just comes in, goads everybody, and then gets the fuck out of there, basically.
Whoa! I did not mean like this.
So yeah, another chaotic card in regards to force combat. And there's some other cards as well that force combat, like Fumiko, which is in the deck as well. So Fumiko, another card from Kamigawa. So again, it says creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able. So you don't have to attack.
Yeah.
You can just sit back with the Bushido because obviously Bushido X is the number of attacking creatures. So if they're coming at you with 4 creatures, she's going to get +4/+4. So she's going to be able to block quite effectively. And you've probably already goaded them at this point, so it doesn't matter that your creatures are attacking, or the creatures your opponents control are attacking, because they're probably attacking each other at this point.
But again, because it's a good little bit of redundancy. Again, if your commander gets too expensive, you can sort of fall back on this. It's not as good. It doesn't work perfectly, but it's a good sort of alternative.
Yeah, exactly. I think, the disrupt decorum could be a good replacement for this, because obviously it means that it definitely goads all of your opponent's creatures to attack each other. But I think this is just a similar sort of effect on a body, which can also be quite an effective blocker or attacker, depending on how many creatures you're attacking with.
Yeah.
So yeah, just another form of chaos is forced combat, and I've played with Thantis, the Warweaver, before, and just the global effect of everybody having to attack, whether that's you or not, it just warps the game. Everybody having to attack with like little value creatures that they don't want to lose, like a Birds of Paradise or Oracle of Moldiah. They have to attack with creatures like that, and they don't want to. So it does warp the game in a chaotic way, but not in a way that cannot be interacted with. It's just warping that combat step, which is what I like. So, yeah, I was really happy to see that demon get printed in Kaldheim. Seeing a disruptive decorum on a commander is, just pretty decent.
Again, another great uncommon legendary. I think they're some of the best ones. They're like the most sort of. I think where they've got sort of a bit of a drawback, it makes you sort of build a deck in a bit more of a fun way. It's not just this card will literally do everything you want and more, and draw you cards for doing it. It's,
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, this is a fun little mechanic. Let's play.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will just literally just look to the Coma Cosmos Serpents as their EDH commander decks. They'll look to the Tibalt, Volky God of Lies, because they're the mythic rares, the chase ones. But I look at things like this and think, oh, what can I do with that? And it's just it is chaotic, but yeah, I just thought it's an awesome card, and it did actually appear in my standard deck for a while, but I just don't think it does enough in standard. It doesn't really do. It sort of ties in with a sort of berserker theme, but the making everything attack you sort of thing can. There's a bit of redundancy in the life gain as well at the bottom, but I still think having 2 Terror of the Peaks in the deck rather than 2 of these is probably better.
Yeah. I think it's got like its situations, and it's probably like good in certain matchups in standard.
Yeah.
If you know, maybe like other smaller sort of aggro decks, you can sort of force them to sort of waste their last opportunity, and then you actually get the win.
Yeah, I'm still toying with it. I do love the card. It's just legendary as well, so I can't have 2 out at the same time. You know, with Terror of the Peaks, you can have 2 out at the same time.
Yeah.
With Eradicator Valkyrie as a mythic, you can have 4 of them out at the same time. It's just, it's great, but I just don't think it's good in standard enough to be in there. Albeit it does sort of function with the Bloodsky Massacre, which cares about demons attacking and demons adding berserkers adding mana to your mana pool. So it just sort of comes in and out of the deck, so it's but I just love it. Which is when I showed you earlier, it was like, oh, you bloody love this bloke, don't you?
Yeah. He's back again.
Yes, I do. So yeah, I think it's going to be a fun deck to play with. A couple of chaotic elements in there, but some of them I'll probably take out when playing online. But when in person, I'll probably shove them back in again. But
good.
What do you think about? What's your thoughts on sort of forced combat?
Forced combat sounds good. To be honest, Aaron.
Yeah,
I think it sounds like a good fun one. I don't. So I've played the Atali deck, which is about giving yourself extra combat. So I think it would be fun to see what it's like the other side. Obviously, it's risky.
Oh yeah,
it's risky because if you do it to the Atali deck, it's just rubbing its hands together.
Yeah,
gladly take all those extra combats off you. But no, I think most decks, like forcing them to go into like weird combat like this, have to. If you can say if you just keep making them fight and fight and fight, with like extra combats and things.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really good because like obviously damage stacks up over the turn, so stuff surely eventually ends up as like sort of not quite full board wipes, but I think it'd be a good way of sort of getting a lot of creatures out of the way, especially a lot of small creatures. Almost like them little sort of deal like 3 damage to all creatures sort of type spells.
Yeah.
What's Tom said here? Forced combat punishes spellslinger decks with less creatures, and I'm sure my Goreclaw deck would like him. So there we are.
Oh
Goreclaw would just eat all them small creatures.
But that's what I mean. It's like in this scenario, if I was playing Carder, I'm basically using Tom's Goreclaw deck to ravage my opponents.
Yeah.
But not me.
Exactly. You're using it as a way to. You're basically using Tom's deck to destroy your opponents, and then Tom with the win.
Exactly, yeah. So then Tom would be left open for me to attack into him with my commander, which I could probably. I've even been thinking about putting some Voltron-y things in there so I can gear up Carder and just smash people in the face when they're open. I'm thinking about taking out like the threaten effects and stuff and the sack outlets because it's just a high cost removal spell. Basically, is gaining control of their thing and then sacking it for value. I think that's too much of a long-winded strategy for the deck. I think it needs to be more streamlined. I don't know what your thoughts are on it. I think it's a cool interaction, but I think it's too long-winded. Like threatening their creature. So Act of Treason is like 3 mana, I think, 1 red and 2 others. And then you Village Rites, for instance, you sack it and draw 2 cards. So that costs 4 mana to do, but you get to steal their creature for a turn, attack with it, and then get some value out of it. So is it worth that extra line of play in that sort of deck? I don't know.
I think what the problem is, it's if you sort of get those effects, if you just get the Village Rites half of those effects and not the threaten bits, they then aren't very good. And almost what's the same, like if you threaten something just once, they just take the damage and then they get it back, and they think, oh, I don't really care. You do sort of need both halves to really make them work well.
Yeah. There's another line in there as well, which I haven't mentioned yet, and that's like little combat tricks in there. So there's a couple of cards in there, like what's it? It's in standard. I think it says double the power of target creature until end of turn. So it's like little combat tricks that I can use on other people's creatures when they're fighting each other to double their power. Or there's another one called Tainted Strike, which gives a creature infect until end of turn. So it's a good way of altering the combat. When they're battling away, just giving something double power or giving something infect, which could basically take someone out of the game straight away. That's another line that's in there, but it's not really fleshed out. So there's still little sort of ideas in the deck that aren't really sort of well, they are, aren't they? They're interacting with the combat step a little bit, but I guess that threaten and Village Rites sort of aspect is if you've got one half of it, it's not going to work. Whereas the doubling power and giving stuff infect still works in that combat step, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's the sort of thing that those sort of nuances are hard to figure out until you do play with the deck. I think once you sort of play with it a handful of times, you can see how well they do actually function in the real world, and whether or not you want to sort of pursue them lines harder or drop them entirely. And again, the other thing there is that you might do it, and it really is dependent on your matchup.
Yeah,
like that sort of deck you're sort of building is very dependent on what your opponents are bringing. If they've got, if you're doing that against someone that's churning out millions of tokens, they probably won't care because they can let all the tokens go into battle. Some will get through and deal damage. Some will die. They were probably going to be doing that anyway in their turns. But then there's other decks you'll come up against, and it's a lot of like small utility creatures, and that forcing them to fight is going to absolutely decimate their deck.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those decks that does care about what is going on other players' fields, isn't it? So it's open to that sort of pitfall, I guess. And Tom's rightly said at the top there, Goad is fun and games, fun and games until I'm the only opponent left, where you have to deal with that only opponent left who is definitely attacking you for the rest of the game now. Which is why I had those sort of threaten effects in there, so I can just gain control of their creatures at the end and smack them in the face with it, basically. So it's more of an end game sort of effect, but I'm still working it out. So this podcast is turning into help Aaron's deck get built. But yeah, I just thought it was a nice little note to end on. Really, is the force combat is a deck that you probably will see at some point going forward. So just another chaotic aspect of the game.
I'm trying to get up a secret card. And this is
secret
the most,
card.
If we're ending off, I'm trying to get the most chaotic card I can think of.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, if we missed the sort of namesake of chaos decks, I'm not sure. I think we've covered all the big ones, haven't we?
What you're on about? Chaos Warp.
Yeah, like Chaos Warp, Scrambleverse, Warp World. We've done all those, but I'm sure we're probably missing a few. So if you know of a few, drop it in the comments below.
Missing, Aaron.
Oh, why have we not mentioned Cascade yet? That is definitely a chaos mechanic.
Okay, I had it as a little note on mine. Just Cascade is a general chaos mechanic, obviously, and just what spell is more chaotic than Cascade, 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 and Cascade.
Cascade, yeah,
lovely.
Brilliant.
And so I think that is expensive. I did not realise that was I don't know what the difference between the two is. One, the full art version, full art being 15-20, and then normal being sort of 8 to 10 sort of pound.
God.
Hi Lou says confusion in the ranks is pretty chaotic. Is that one we've already mentioned?
Yeah, it's going to be in the Carder deck. Yeah. It's definitely a chaotic card. Absolutely love it. Cascade is going back to there. So again, whenever an artifact, creature, or enchantment enters the battlefield, its controller chooses a target permanent other than another target permanent another player controls that shares a card type with it. Yeah. So if you play a Soul Ring, you then swap it for a Lux Cannon, or something along those lines. So very, very good card, especially when you've established everyone's attacking each other already. It just throws a spanner in the works.
We forgot about this little not chaotic card when we talked about the standard decks.
Yeah.
In Aetherworks Marvel, resulting in Ulamog being banned.
Oh yeah.
Because people used to just spin that wheel, get an Ulamog, and win the game from there. Yeah,
there's always going to be someone trying to break chaos cards that are printed in standard, though, isn't there? Like Tybalt's Trickery is obviously the big one at the moment.
Yeah,
it's just like, how can people break this? Because it normally cheats things into play. Chaos normally cheats things into play, or just makes things so much worse. But people just think of it as an upside. They try and get the upside out of the chaos effect, like Tybalt's Trickery. Mulliganing down to 4 cards, so they know they're going to get a Tybalt's Trickery and hopefully get into a Coma Cosmos Serpent, which are then just Heartless Act, and they're absolutely pissed off and they concede. and I say good game before they can quit. Did you ever try and do that when they concede? You're like, good game, good game, good game, good game, good game. Brilliant. I always try and get it in there if they concede, like nice or good game or hello.
I hate when I'm just thinking and hello.
I'm such a scumbag on Arena. Funny. Yes. It's nice to get the chaos out of the system, I think. That was a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so generally speaking, if you're going to play a chaos deck, just make sure you confer with the table beforehand, and just make sure everyone's down with it before we play. It's a nice, refreshing experience, nice little palate cleanser, and there's obviously like Planes Chase and other sort of weird formats that you can create even to add a bit of chaos to your game. So definitely sort of research those. But yeah, I'm sure we'll play Planes Chase when we can on the channel at some point. What's Lou said?
Lou said, too many times in Hearthstone, I've spammed good game before I win. Then the other person wins and spams good game. There is nothing better than beating the preemptive good game.
Yeah,
they're like sat there. My favourite one at the moment, I don't know if I might have even mentioned on the cast already, is the mill decks, the rogue mill decks. That think they've milled you out in their turn is a win. So they give you the good game, forgetting that you get an untapped step before your draw. So you untap, have maybe a pinger or something, Shotgun, you're dead.
And you're good game.
Good game, sir. Good game.
Oh man, I like it though when people say at the very start they click hello and then they say good game. It's like good game, like good luck.
But I do it. Hello, good game. Concede.
Hello, yeah, good game.
But no, yeah, that's, and this is something I do wish they did sort of elaborate the emotes a little bit more, because it is a bit hard to, because sometimes there's certain things you want to portray, like sometimes you do want to genuinely say like this was an interesting game or something like that. Like
Yeah,
there's just not enough ways you can say it.
no, yeah.
Or sometimes again, like your opponent just concedes before you have a chance to say thank you.
Yeah. It's like I just if I ever get annoyed or like getting stressed out on the game, I just click nice, like nice, like a nice little sarcastic nice. Yeah, good move. Yeah, nice.
So no, I like to use it. We're so opposite, because I use it really genuinely. Like, my opponent actually like bombs the shit out of me. I'm like, that's a pretty cool play. Thank you for
that. What's Lou done now?
I once played Zedru and gave 9 lives to a friend, countered their soul ring and conceded.
Oh, that's proper chaos, that is, isn't it?
That is, as Lou's already said. That feels bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said about making up formats a minute ago, which reminded me of my, I'm going to say, favourite Chaos format without giving it too much thought. Momir. Have you played Momir on Arena? Has that been there when you've been playing yet?
No, I haven't actually.
Do you know what Momir is, even?
I have no idea what Momir is.
So, the idea of Momir is... oh god, how can I even find this?
I've just typed in Momir, it's come up on MTG Wiki.
Yep. Basically, you play with just basic lands, and then you have like an emblem that you can use once per turn. You pay X mana and discard a card, and then you create a token of a spell, like a token copy of a creature, that's converted mana cost is equal to X.
Right.
So basically, every turn you play a land, tap all your mana, discard a card, and then you get, so in order, on your first turn you get a 1-drop, second turn you get a 2-drop, third turn you get a 3-drop, but it's all completely random, and you never know what it is.
Oh.
Which I like and I enjoy, but I do feel the strict rules of it make it boring as shit. So I like to play an alternate version, which includes not just creatures, but also sorceries, artifacts maybe, planeswalkers. And I also like to say technically you're casting the spell, because some stuff has cast triggers, and the fact that you're just making a token doesn't work. So I like to do things like that, and it's just real chaos, and you just get to do everything.
What about if you have like a big, massive, like a pile of 300 cards, and you have a deck full of lands, and you play a land each turn, you pay 1, and you go search for a 1-drop, and put it into play.
Well, you're saying you get to search and choose?
Yeah.
Shit.
Or random... No, shit. Yeah.
If it ever says search, I don't care, Aaron.
Yeah.
Search your library for a basic land. Get out of here, Evolving Wilds.
This is
I'm not tutoring.
This is all about chaos, not consistency. Consistency will be another episode, I expect. So yeah, we'll wrap up the episode now. But what's Lou saying?
Lou wants to round this off by saying, some friends of mine are new and want to fight me in a 5v1 game. And I'm trying to explain, bro, we know my decks are stronger, but there's no way I'd survive 5 turns of stompy aggro. Well, Lou.
5 versus 1 arch enemy.
I was going to say, get arch enemy. Do it properly. You get the bonus for being a 5v1. And just see how it goes.
Yeah, another chaotic sort of format we haven't mentioned, arch enemy. So that's when one person is the arch enemy, so everyone's ganging up on that particular player, and they have a separate deck of arch enemy sort of what are the cards called?
Schemes.
Schemes. That's it. And what you draw one each turn and see what happens?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's in your upkeep. The first one, you get to do it. Like you set a scheme in motion, and there's some that's just like you create some tokens, or you gain control of an opponent's thing, or destroy all stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, Tom's saying that Rob can give us arch enemy tips.
Yeah.
And damn Godo, because I think we've actually mentioned it yet this podcast. Damn Godo. That's what I
damn Godo.
Damn Godo.
Yeah. Forsake Godo from the pod. But saying that, me, Tom, Josh, and Rob did play a game the other day, and Rob did use his aforementioned Godo deck, and we all sort of collectively chipped in for the first couple of turns to stop the Godo Helm happening. And then from that moment on, it was all interaction. This is when I was playing Damia. Josh was playing a Planeswalker as a commander. Of course, he did. And Tom was playing Zagsara. So it was all very, very interactive games. So we did stop the Godo Helm combo. And then Rob just burnt out towards the end because we all sort of ganged up on him. But I think if you're a player of a really, really strong deck and people know it's a strong deck, you do put your arch enemy on your head, don't you, from the beginning, I think. Yeah. And you do have to sort of gang up to stop it. That's just a rule of thumb.
Same as if you play a real dual land turn 1, you become the arch enemy.
Yeah,
it's known fact.
Absolutely. I think the win rate percentage is actually higher if you play a Guildgate on your first turn. Play a Rakdos Guildgate tapped and pass a turn.
I don't want to get scientific on this, but I'm pretty sure I win.
Somebody get the stats. That's all we've got time for today. It'll only be a short episode, 1 hour 52 minutes later on Chaos.
Is that how long it's been?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's fun,
we can just talk for so long about it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Wherever you might be out there in the big wide world, whether you're watching this now, in the past, present, future, thanks for joining us today. And make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and check out the link tree for all our other sort of links and stuff. And videos will return. It's just obviously the nature of our channel is very much in the flesh content with local game stores and all of our friends in our meta gathering around a table. That's what we do best. So stay tuned for the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, Tom, Rob, and Lou.
Bye-bye, friends. Extended universe.
Oh, talking about Extended Universe, actually, for those that have bothered to stay tuned in, I heard a really good one the other day. I think it was from Saffron Olive.
Yeah.
What if they did, sports stars in it? Like, his example was NBA. Like, what if they had, famous basketball players as Magic cards?
Oh, this is it. All right, see you later.
Huh?
Oh, no, God. Bloody sports stars.
I just thought, one... at first it's ha ha ha, it's funny, but then I thought about it a bit more. It's sports are always looking for ways to expand their franchise and get their brand out there more.
Mm-hmm.
And there's already trading cards, collectible cards for most sports, particularly American sports. I think there's a lot baseball cards are quite big.
Cards. Yeah.
Obviously in England we've got the Panini sticker albums.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought maybe it's not as far a leap as we might think.
No, it's I don't know. Yeah, they're going to start incorporating real world elements into it? I don't know.
Space Jam's come in.
Space Jam, yeah. I mean that's
so
that's
the next logical step.
Tunes.
Really. We will have a LeBron James. Magic card by the end of 2022.
Oh dear! I hope not.
But yeah, I think it was a complete throwaway comment from Saffron Olive. It was just a bit stupid, and I just actually thought, well, maybe it'd work.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some properties of universes beyond that are going to work, and some that don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a side sort of product, isn't it? So if you like it, buy it. If you don't, isn't it? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. I'll buy it. Yeah, I'll buy it 100%.
I won't buy any of your real sets. Just give me a nonsense.
Yeah.
All right.
David Beckham Commander, absolutely.
God, there'd be so much hate on the internet. People would be absolutely savage.
Just David Beckham's face on a Magic card.
What do you mean, David Beckham? He's not a planeswalker.
Oh dear. Brilliant.
Bye, Aaron. It's been fun.
On that note, yeah. We'll see you next time.
I'm sorry I've dragged the tone down at the end here.
Yeah, that's brilliant. No worries.
All right. Catch you all soon.
See you later, boys.